If you're ready to explore the Hebrew roots of your Christian faith, then grab your Bible and let's get started.
Shalom. Welcome back to Tuesday night Torah Studies. Praise Yehovah for this day. Now, some of you might feel rested because you were off for the Labor Day, the national holiday here in the United States. Um, but some of you probably feel like I'm still not rested. Don't worry. You have another time that you will be off again, and that is for the Feast of Trumpets. This Feast of Trumpet is a holy convocation. That's the requirement. And we know a holy convocation means that there will be no labor work and is treated exactly like our weekly Sabbath day is. So that means only the teachers and particular offices continue to work because they don't have a day off technically. And the laymen do have those days off where there will be no circular work. So look forward to the Feast of Trumpets. Now we're looking for an estimate of September the 4th at sunset or September the 5th at sunset. And this is why you will find in First Samuel, well, we'll get to that during the time of Feast of Trumpets. But welcome to Reconcile the Kingdom, where we're working towards growing the harmony of the whole word of truth. My name is Patrice Robinson, and I greatly appreciate every last one of you who joins me on the premiere. I really appreciate you who join me on the premiere because it most definitely is encouraging that you guys are hearing and you're watching and all those type of things. And of course, those who join me on the replay, because many of you that join me are returning subscribers. And I am greatly appreciated for every last one of you for your comments, for sharing the links, giving me a thumbs up, because this is the way we grow the ministry. We are teaching biblical doctrine without the doctrine of men. So thank you for your support. New subscribers, welcome to the family. Thank you for allowing me to be for you. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I really appreciate you. Just do all the things we just spoke about, the return subscribers. Share the links with your friends, your family, your loved one, because many of us will not hear the biblical doctrine. Many of us will continue on in non-denominational religious systems that would teach you what we would say tradition of man, but things that are not actually written in the Bible, but they're about the Bible. So it makes you think that it's in the Bible. But this is how the trickery of mankind can be. And many of it is not on purpose. Some of us are just blinded. We have the rose colored glasses on and we can't see. So this is the reason for the ministry, is to reconcile the people with the kingdom as it is written in the scriptures. So thank you. I really appreciate. Don't be shy. Let me know what city, what state, or what country you're in. And of course, do all the things we talked about again about the return subscribers. To all visitors, I'm hoping that you're ready. You're ready to join a family that does not mind searching the scriptures, does not mind challenging religious system teachings that we've been under for hundreds of years, open to being a lifetime student of the Bible, and you're ready to join this family that does not mind exploring the Hebrew roots of your Christian faith. It's very easy to join this family. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button below. Don't forget the bell. Excuse me, and don't forget to hit that bell, because that lets you know when I'm live, any announcements or any updates that come from the ministry. Now, we talked about subscribing. We talked about making comments, sharing the link, and giving a thumbs up. That is a great, magnificent way of supporting the ministry, because it gets to all the nations. That, especially that thumbs up, it allows YouTube to, that whole algorithm knows where to send information to. This is the purpose of all the activity that you do: comment, sharing, watching, subscribing, and hitting that thumbs up. That's important. What I also say it's important if you join me on Facebook. You join me Instagram, Pinterest, Spotify, YouTube, podcast, because those are other ways that people enjoy watching things when it comes to social media, especially those of you who are joining me on YouTube. Go over to Facebook. I still need 75 of you guys to go over there and follow so that I can be live again on Facebook because of the new changes they have made. And we have the SC Studio, the Arcade Biblical Studio, where I share the workbooks that I use for every book in the Bible is just about in there. I think I have every New Testament workbook and worksheet is in there. I think I might have 4 books left for the Old Testament to be added. But there are most definitely plenty of options of books, not just Acts, not just Exodus, that we're going through on Tuesday and on the Sabbath day, but there's many other books that's available for you to purchase so you can take your time through your studies and connect the word, makes you dig in deeper on what is written. And of course, there's worksheets and scripture wall art that's available for you. And there is the cash app that you're able to give into the love jar. I have totally tried to take that word donation away because you're not receiving a letter saying that you have donated to this ministry, because this ministry is not a 501c3. We are not connected where government regulations because of the restrictions that government has for you when it comes to ministry. So, all the ways that we just spoke about on ways to support the ministry is available to you in the description box. So, choose which way. Pray and ask the Father, what way do you support the ministry besides subscribing, commenting, and sharing the link and giving a thumbs up? And follow me on all these social medias. If you need something to study with to help you stay focused, go to the SC Studio, get you a book, a workbook, worksheet. If you want to give monetary, there is the love drawer for the cash app that's available for you. Take a look at that in your own timing and see what ways that's available for you. Now, today, I don't want you to forget at the end of today's teaching, you're able to ask questions that what is presented to you today, from the overviews all the way to the teaching of today. Send those questions in. I will address those questions at the end of the teaching on today. If you're watching this on the replay, you can still send those questions in because I will address those questions as they come in. So make sure you have a Bible right before you, all the writing utensils that you need, every highlighter, everything that you need. The workbook, if you purchase those, I greatly appreciate that. Have that before you, your worksheets, have that before you. But if you don't have those items, at least have a piece of paper, pen and paper in front of you. Now, we are going to go over the key points for chapter 29, which we have began last week. And today, the goal is to complete Exodus chapter 29 and go into the beginning of Exodus chapter 30, because Exodus 29 thus far is talking about the ordination of the Israelites' priesthood. And we know this only comes from Aaron's bloodline, the descendants of Aaron's sons. And so we end up reading in Exodus 29 of the specific things that Aaron had to do and his sons. They had to wash, they had to get dressed. They had to get dressed in the full attire of the priestly garments, Aaron and his son. And then those garments would end up with this the blood and the oil and all that type of things on it, because they have to take the bull, the rams, the unleavened cakes, the wafers, all that type of stuff, do all the process for consecrating themselves and their garments. And again, those men end up being covered with blood and oil on those expensive attire, all those type of things. Now, we also went over last week, if you remember, the difference between the Levitical priesthood, which is genealogy based on Aaron's bloodline, and then Melchizedek, the priesthood that's internal. I mean, it is a forever priesthood that we find in the book of Genesis, and the Messiah most definitely um, is after that specific order, because the Messiah is from the tribe of Judah. So he is not from the Levitical bloodline at all. So his priesthood does not come from the earthly bound Levitical priesthood from after the bloodline of Aaron. His is eternal. It is heavenly. It is no matter what mother, what father, what bloodline, anything like that. His is eternal, and this is how we become a part of that royal priesthood. It is not by our mother and father that we are by priests. We are by priesthood through the order of Melchizedek, which our Messiah is after that order. So my sheet will not remain here because it is not completed, and we will bring that up next week, and we're going to finish it all together. Now, we're going to jump right into completing Exodus 29, verse 35. I'm going to go with 35, then we'll go ahead to 36 because we ended with 35 last week. So you should do for Aaron and for his sons according to all that I commanded you, and you should ordain them for 7 days. So that whole ordination of Aaron and his sons is a 7-day event. Okay. Verse 36, each day you shall offer a bull as a sin offering for atonement. You shall purify the altar when you make an atonement for it. You shall anoint it to consecrate it. For 7 days you shall make an atonement for the altar and consecrate it. And then the altar shall be most holy, and whatever touches the altar shall be holy. Now, verse 36 changes things, because we came from the consecration of Aaron and his sons to consecrating the altar of burnt offering. Is called most of the time but the bronze altar, which we read back in Exodus 27. So in Exodus 27, when the introduction of the instructions of building the burnt offering, if you remember that, I think I still have a PowerPoint about that. So if you remember this bronze altar, this is the altar that we talked about with the Maccabees, where there was an unclean animal that was offered on there. So now Moses is giving instructions to make an atonement for this particular altar. The furniture needs to be atoned for. And this atonement for the furniture would take 7 days. Exactly what we end up reading about in the book of Maccabees. And of course, we read about it in King Solomon, all these type of things. I said in King Solomon and First King, First Samuel, Second Samuel. Every animal that is offered on this altar, we know it does not deserve death because it's taking the placement of our sins at that time. Now, the Messiah did not deserve to be suffered or for our sakes or death, but he took on the world's sin for the sake of the world and offered himself as a sin offering. So everything that's offered on the altar must be holy. So you would think, wait a minute, every animal that touches the altar have to be holy. There's so many things to the burnt offering, not burnt offering, bronze altar that we need to learn about when it comes to the burnt offering, and we will cover that once we get to Leviticus in more in depth. Now, those of you who's just visiting, and I just want to remind those who joined me on Saturday, on the Sabbath day, we just completed Acts chapter 10 about Peter's vision of the 4-corner sheet that come down with unclean and unholy 4-footed animals. Not one of those unclean, unholy animals are allowed to be on the altar, because the altar is the sweet aroma that goes up to the Father. So, which became the problem when we get into Book of Maccabees, when the Greeks offered a I believe it's a swine, a pig on the altar, defiled it. So if the animal's unclean and unholy to be on the altar to be a sweet aroma unto the Father, those animals should not be entered into our bodies. So we learn from the example of the Father. And it is that easy in the plain truth. He sets an example for us. If he is not going to take the sweet aroma of an unclean animal and unholy, we should not take in that in our bodies. And we do know that some of that food smells good, but it's not to be eaten. It's not considered food. Verse 38. Now, this is what you should offer on the altar. This is on the altar to atone. Just stay with me. 2 one-year-old lambs each day, continuously. The one lamb shall offer in the morning, and the other lamb shall offer at twilight. And there should be a tenth of an ephah of fine flour mixed with a fourth hin of beaten oil and a fourth of hin of wine for a drink offering with one lamb. The other lamb you should offer at twilight. You should offer with the same grain offering, same drink offering as in the morning. Same process in the morning, same process at twilight. So same process. For a soothing aroma, an offering of fire to Yehovah. It should be a continually burnt offering throughout your generation at the doorway, the tent meeting before Yehovah, where I will meet with you and speak to you there. So we have this burnt offering that offers twice a day, every morning, no matter what day it is, this happens. I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and go into Leviticus chapter 1 and on. I think it's probably first 3 or maybe even 6 chapters about all the offerings. The 2 offerings, the burnt offerings, is continued and is required. And you need to understand it's the aroma. When we spoke about in Acts, when Cornelius' prayer came up as a memorial offering, as an offering, sweet aroma to Yehovah because of his heart. This is what we're doing. We're praying because we're the temple, we're the offering up to Yehovah, morning and evening prayer. The offering is instructed by Yehovah and it's offered. The priest is to conduct these offerings along with the grain and the drink offering, which is a hint of wine, a hint of wine. Verse 43. I know it's hard for some people to get and to understand that these things are designed into fellowship and communion with the Father. Verse 43. I will meet there the sons of Israel, and it shall be consecrated by my glory. I will consecrate the tent of meeting and the altar. This is the Father speaking. I will also consecrate Aaron and his sons to serve as priests to me. This is what he's going to do. And I'll dwell among the sons of Israel. I will be their God, their Elohim. And they should know that I am Yehovah, their Elohim, their God, who brought them out of the land of Egypt so that I might dwell among them. I am Yehovah the Elohim. So he brought them out of Egypt. He is taking them to the promised land, but he wants them to know that I was the one, without any question, any doubt, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. Now you building this tabernacle. Now you have an Aaron and his sons and these beautiful garments and performing all these services and offerings to me so that I may dwell among you. Now, Jehovah's going to meet his sons of Israel right there at the tent meeting in the Mishkan, for some who was into using the Hebrew word, the tabernacle. He's going to meet them there. So now all the tabernacle, the mishkan, the tabernacle, the altar, burnt offerings, bronze altar, Aaron and his sons, all will be consecrated. He will be the Elohim of Israel. I am Yehovah, this Elohim, the one that brought y'all into Egypt, and I will dwell among you. I will not be absent. You don't have to look nowhere else for me. I'll be present with you. I am there. You will seek and I'm there. You will knock, you will find, you will open your eyes. I am there. You will go to sleep. I am there because he is going to be in the tabernacle. Let's move on to Exodus 30. Verses 1 through 10 we're going to go through today because we're coming from the consecration again of Aaron and his sons back to the bronze altar where the burnt offerings and the other offerings will take place. Now we on to another furniture piece that belongs in the courtyard. I mean, in the tent of meeting. Verse 1 of 30. Now you should make an altar as a place for burning incense. You should make it of acacia wood. Its length should be a cubit, and its width a cubit. It should be square, and its height should be 2 cubits. Its horn should be one piece with it. You should overlay it with pure gold. Its top and its sides and all around in its horn shall make a gold molding all around it. You should also make 2 gold rings for it under its molding. You should make them on its 2 sides and the opposite sides. And there should be hold of the poles with which carry it. You should make the poles of acacia wood, overlay them with gold. You should put this altar in front of the veil that is near the ark of testimony, in front of the atoning cover that is over the ark of the testimony, which I will meet with you. Aaron shall burn fragrant incense on it. He shall burn it every morning when he trims the lamps. Aaron shall burn fragrant incense on it. He shall burn it every morning when he trims the lamps. And when Aaron sets up the lamps at twilight, he should burn incense. This should be perpetual incense. That means forever before Yehovah without your generations. You should not offer any strange incense on this altar, or burnt offering, or meal offering, and you should not pour out a drink offering on it. Now, however, Aaron should make an atonement on its horns once a year. You should make an atonement on it with the blood of sin offering at an atonement once a year throughout the generation, and this shall be holy. So what we're talking about, if you see this imagery, is the altar of incense. So Yehovah gives Moses specific instructions for the altar of incense. The measurements 1.5 in length and width and 3 feet high, overlaid with pure gold on top of all the sides and the horns. 2 gold rings below the molding on opposite side to hold the poles so it can be easy to carry. The tabernacle, we know, is portable. The altar and all the furniture that's placed in the tent of meeting, the tabernacle, the mishkan, is covered with gold. The altar of incense, the table of showbread, the candlestick, and the Ark of Covenant are all covered with gold. What's important to understand is that this altar incense is right in front of the veil. I don't have that imagery today, but we'll have it next week. So when Aaron goes to attend to the candlestick to 7 branches, the menorah, he also attends to the altar of incense, both morning and night, continuously burning unless they're traveling. So when it's set up, they're constantly making sure that the light of the candlestick and the altar incense is continually burned. An extra step that many don't remember or know about is that the altar incense, that piece of furniture, is also used for the Day of Atonement. This is the blood that's placed on the horns once a year during the Day of Atonement, including the Ark of Covenant. There's blood placed on there. So we do know this whole process of Aaron lighting the candles and the altar incense changes. It changes from the future of this writing to when you get to what, Second Chronicles, it begins to change. And this is why you're able to read in Luke. This is when John the baptizer father is lighting the incense. Let me read that. Luke 1, 5 through 9. In the days of Herod, king of Judah, there was a priest named Zachariah. He of the division of Abijah, and he had a wife from the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. They both righteous in the sight of Elohim, walking blameless in all the commandments and requirements of Yehovah. And many people say that you can't do that. But we see that happening here in Zechariah in Elizabeth. Verse 7. And yet they had no child because Elizabeth was infertile and they both advanced in years. Now it happened that while he was performing his priestly service, because he's from the bloodline of Aaron, before God in the appointed order of this vision, according to the custom of the priest's office, he was chosen by lot to enter the temple of Yehovah to burn incense. So it was his job, as the order of Abijah, the division, it was his turn to go in and burn the incense. I hope you guys heard that. Now, he goes in there and he does this, and he meets with an angel. The angel will give him a prophecy about the son. He didn't believe it, and we know that whole entire event, not story, but event, because to me, story means something that's, possible, but event, it actually happened. So this altar of incense that we're talking about is very famous in many denomination and non-denominational religious systems in a different way. It's famous for them because they focus on the disobedience of Nadab and Abihu, which are Aaron's sons. You remember what they do? They go in, they end up dying because they offered what we call that unauthorized incense. That's what they do. They offer a unauthorized incense. And so we probably talk about that, I'm pretty sure, next week, because you have to remember here in 9, Moses giving the instructions to tell the priests, you should not offer any strange incense on this altar, or burnt offering, or meal offering. You should not pour out a drink offering on it. So there are specific instructions. You get more on how to present yourself and things you do in the house of Yehovah. The tabernacle, the temple, or the only house of Yehovah. The church, those are not the houses of Yehovah. Those are just buildings. Your body is a temple, it's the house of Yehovah. the tabernacle and the temple were actually places for the house of Yehovah. Although Moses and Joshua, many others, 70 elders, many other housed the Holy Spirit, they had Yehovah within them. Just keep that in mind. So, like I said, denomination, non-denominational religious system focus on the disobedience of Nahab and Bahu. And we know Yehovah give us many warnings about disobedience. He gave it to the children of Israel. He gives it to Moses. He gives it to Aaron. Gives it to King Saul. Many others who still disobey. And some of us still do. Some of us will remain and continue to disobey by choice. But we have to learn from the examples that we're reading. As human beings, since the garden, we somehow in our minds think that it's possible to get something done in a different way than the way that Yehovah said. This is why some people do not accept Yeshua the Messiah, because they think they can go a different way, although he told them you're a thief and a robber if you come any other way. But they still believe there is a different way. You see, the instructions in the garden was for them not to eat, meaning do not get information, do not get knowledge from that tree. It wasn't that you was not going to receive knowledge. It is where the knowledge is coming from. That stands for us today. He wasn't trying to prevent them from receiving the knowledge. It's where the knowledge is coming from that makes the difference. I'm hoping that you learned something for today. And before you leave out of here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to send this information to friends and families and your loved ones, because they need to know. It makes a difference from where you're receiving your information from. This is the whole purpose of the Torah. Just stick with me, continue to join me, and you will learn more about the biblical doctrine and not the dogma of men. So, looking forward to seeing you guys for the Feast of Trumpets, whether it's on the 5th at noon, probably 11 o'clock, or the 6th around 11. So, join me then, and there will be probably a teaching. There will be a teaching on Saturday on the Sabbath day, no matter what happens on the day of Feast of Trumpets. I will see you then, and we will see each other again Tuesday as we continue with Exodus chapter 30. What is important for you to know, as always, man does not live by bread alone, but man lives by every word that comes from the mouth of Yehovah. It makes a difference where you're receiving your knowledge from. Have a blessed rest of the week, and I will join me on the Feast of Trumpets and look forward to seeing you then. May Yehovah bless you. Thank you. I greatly appreciate you.